Hey, you're about to listen to an older episode of the Volunteer Youth Worker podcast. This is a podcast that Sid, Koop, Jason, Ballard, and myself, Jeremy McDonald, started back in 2018 to answer the practical questions that you're asking in your youth ministry. But lots has changed since we started it in 2018. We've changed the name. We're doing new and different events and lots of other things. The thing that hasn't changed, though, is the content you're about to listen to, we think is still really valuable. But if you notice that some of the things we're talking about are obviously a little bit older, that is okay. You can always head to youthworker.community to stay up to date with what's happening currently right now here in 2024, and you can track along with us there. We'd love to see you. But enjoy this episode.
Welcome to the Youth Ministry Team Podcast. Youth ministries rise and fall on the team of volunteers. So this podcast is for the whole team. Join the conversation as we tackle the practical questions you're asking so you can be encouraged and equipped as you head into your role in your youth ministry this week.
Episode 120 of the Youth Ministry Team Podcast. Sid, today we are going to be giving people, this is a short episode. They kind of realize as they're coming in, you're going to solve how do we help teenagers in crisis in like less than 20 minutes. How did you do that?
Yeah, well, that's the right question, Jer. It's quite miraculous. And to be completely honest with you, we're not solving any problem, but we're actually trying to figure out how to equip you as a volunteer youth worker to actually enter in a really helpful way into a student's life when they're in the midst of grief and crisis. And how do we respond? What are the practical things we should do? So we're really excited about this episode, and we hope that you'll walk away with one or two things that can help you feel confident, encouraged, and equipped to better disciple the kids in your care, especially those who are going through difficult times. So yeah, I'm excited about this podcast, man. I think this is a really great one. And Jer, this is actually part of our 10 Essentials series, which is a video series that Jason Ballard and I filmed that you volunteers can access at youthworker.community /resources and get 9 other great 10-minute training experiences for you and your friends as you volunteer in the youth ministry that you're involved in. And we hope, again, it will encourage and equip you to better disciple the kids in your ministry. So, man, check those out. We think they'll be really helpful for you.
Yeah, this is summertime is when this is releasing, but you might be listening to this at a different time of the year. Obviously, if you are in the middle of summer and your ministry isn't gathering, you're going to want to tuck this one away for the fall, for when you're back and connecting with teenagers. But obviously, crisis happens in the summer just as often as it does in the fall, in the winter. So hopefully you're able to be around for teenagers. We'll link it in the show notes. It's easier to find it, Sid, if they go to youthworker.community/10 essentials, 10, the number 10, 1, 0, essentials. But gosh, that's going to be, I think, helpful because it is a great series. Lots of people have accessed it. It is a paid for resource, but we have this particular conversation that is obviously for free on our podcast. So that's lots of fun. Now, before we jump into it, there's 2 other things we need to tell them about. First up, we should let them know about Trinity Western, which is a wonderful partner of ours.
Yeah, we love Trinity Western University. They do such a great job of equipping students not only to be great leaders. I think their leadership development is just really wonderful, Jared, but also what does it mean to live out the kingdom way? What does it mean to live out the gospel in whatever vocational environment you find yourself in? So not only are they doing a great job of professional development, equipping in their university, but they're also shaping your character and your understanding of what it looks like to be a follower of Christ in the workplace. So we love what Trinity Western University does, and we want to encourage you youth workers, if you have students that are looking at post-secondary, that you would encourage them to check out Trinity Western University. We so appreciate their work. And then, Jared, the other thing that we're pumped about telling people about is Youth Worker Community Road Tour is happening in October. We pivoted again, people. We love it. And we pivoted to October. We want you to know that we're coming to a community near you. We're doing 21 locations over 16 days right across the country. And you can find out those dates. Jared, where are they going to get those dates and times? Where can they find that stuff? Look at me. I'm throwing to you right now.
Yeah. It just used the link in the show notes, but it's youthworker.community/on the road. Now, interesting enough, Sid, we do have to make a mention. We've got a lot of people that listen not in our country. So we just said across the country, that's our country of Canada.
Good point. Great. Love it. Yeah.
We had somebody, and the upside is sometimes we do these digital events, and you and I were just talking, we had somebody register from Paris, France, and we've got listeners all through the US and really around the world to this podcast. So unfortunately, we're not in a community near you if you're not in Canada. However, we might someday.
We'd love to be. you know what? We really could be. That would be so fun, right?
It wouldn't take much to convince you, Sid, to jump on a plane and go see some youth workers in a different country.
My
So,
word.
youthministry.team, go there, drop us a note where you're listening from, and if it's outside of our country, Sid will come and visit you. Almost guaranteed.
Within the next 5 years.
All right, let's jump into the conversation you and Jason got to have about helping teenagers in crisis.
Here's what I want to chat about today, Sid, this idea of how do we as youth workers enter into crisis with the lives of our students in a way that's actually going to serve them and help them.
Yeah, Jay, this is such an important conversation because we don't have students who either haven't been in crisis, are in crisis, or are going to be in crisis. It's like one of the most common experiences that humanity has. So this is so important for us to wrestle with. And I think the other reason why it's so important is because this idea of how do I help kids in crisis can feel really overwhelming.
Totally.
Especially to a volunteer youth worker. So we want to remove some of the fear.
Yeah, I feel like the effect of this conversation might be like, oh man, that's heavy, that's overwhelming. And I'm kind of like, but we have to do it because if you do good youth ministry over time, eventually those tough conversations are coming up. I mean, life on planet Earth is difficult, especially when you're a teenager or preteen. And if you wade into circumstance, I mean, it's shocking the stuff that you'll discover when trust is built. Students begin to open up, whether it's family life, personal life, relational life, whatever it is, health issues. And so really, and I've heard you give a framework before, Sid, that's really helpful. And so I'd love to be able to just pick your brain a little bit if that's okay.
Yeah.
And before we jump in, like, I feel like maybe there's a few cautions. Could you speak to this idea of like, because I've heard you say like we always need to like cue other people and let other people in. Can you just explain that? When do we have to pull people in?
Yeah. So first of all, I just think in ministry in general, we should always have this idea in our mind that we're a part of a community. So this isn't just something we do. This is something, or I do. This is something we do together. When it comes to crisis in particular, we need to know, and not only do we need to know, but we need to act in such a way that's really clear that we're not alone in this
Maybe
journey.
I should give some examples. Like crisis ranges from a student's going through a breakup and they need someone in their life. The content we want to talk about today is helpful there.
Yeah.
All the way through to self-harm, suicidal thoughts, abuse. I mean, so we're covering a broad range. And this, I guess what we're saying, it's the foundation. Each one of those things could have sessions on its own. And we want to encourage listeners to explore more resource in that space, but this sets a foundation for that.
Yeah, it totally sets a foundation for that. Now, there's a couple of myths that we want to dispel or just put some limits around our role when we engage it. And that's where I was trying to go there. Sorry, Jay. I think number one is we need to let other people know what's going on. So when kids disclose to us or when we enter into crisis with them, we should all have someone else we're talking to about it and inviting them in. And so, for me, and we can't say this strong enough. If I have a student who is hurting themselves, who is hurting others, or is being hurt, or even in danger of those three things, I have to let someone know what's going on. I think in general, when someone discloses to me, I want to let someone know what's going on. But in particular with some of these things, I have to because I'm legally responsible to be able to do it.
You know what's interesting? I don't know if you had this experience. I know I had a student confides in me something.
Yeah.
And I hit this moment where I'm like, they want me to keep their secret.
Yeah.
And it's not for their best that I do.
Yeah.
And in that moment is when you realize I'm not just a friend, I'm their youth worker.
So good.
And I know, like, you know what I mean? It sounds, we're not just a buddy.
Yeah. And in fact, Jay, just real quick, I want to cap on that. There's a couple things we're saying here. Number one, don't be alone. You have to talk to someone else.
Always be looping in somebody else, preferably your point person. Go up the ladder.
Right on. And the other thing then in light of that is never tell a kid that you will not tell someone else what's taking place. Like we never make the promise to say this just stays between you and me. That's not safe, and that's not a promise that you can follow through on, or at least you should know you can't necessarily follow through on that. So we need to include other people. I think that's the first thing that we want to say is make sure that we're including others. And part of that then, the second, is realizing that we're not professionals. So we're not fixers, we're not psychologists, we're not counselors. Some of us are. If you have a youth ministry with a counselor or a psychologist in it, such a gift to you. That's awesome. You know what?
I think that what's helpful is we are a broker. Like when we're in the life of a student, they might not be willing to go see a counselor on their own. You might go, I'll support you.
Brilliant.
I'll drive you there. For us to embrace our limits, I'm not the professional. I don't have all the answers. But just because you're not the professional doesn't mean you don't play an essential role in their life.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Okay, so you gave me this framework one time. It was like 3 P's. I remember it because they all start with the letter P.
I know, and there's 3 of them, right?
And there's 3, so you know it's good. It was be present, be patient, and be prayerful.
Right.
Would you be all right if we just sort of like...
Yeah, let's work through those real quick.
Okay, hit me with this idea of being present.
Yeah, so I think the first thing is this idea that the most important thing we can do is show up. And we've referenced it before. Our job is not to solve the problem. Our job is to be present in the problem. And I think part of that, which we've already referenced quickly, is embracing this idea that while we are pastors, we've talked about that. We want you to be pastors. We want you to be invested in the life of a young person, shepherd them, lead them to Jesus. You're not a professional. That's actually not who you are. And so you're present relationally in the life of a young person in the midst of the crisis. There's a biblical principle that goes with this that says we are called to mourn with those who mourn and rejoice with those who rejoice. Like that's just simply being able to bear one another's burdens in that way is the call of Christ on our lives. And there's something incredibly powerful and wonderful when we enter into space with kids with that type of disposition.
When I hear you say this, I'm reminded of this story. I wish I remembered all the details, but essentially there's a youth leader in our ministry at our church, and there's some stuff happened with a student. They end up in the hospital. Youth leader's like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
So what do you be present? Just show up. So goes to the hospital. And then the dad of this student says to the youth leader, hey, you have no idea what a difference this made. It's like the mood in the room changed when you showed up. And I love that because like, we don't go with answers. We don't go to try to fix the problem, but we don't have to be afraid to enter the space. And I know like, if you've ever had to go to a hospital in a bad time, but it doesn't have to be a hospital to feel like a bad time. Someone's going through something and they're just a text away. Just to show up and be present with your physical presence or with words or care, that brings something into the space that wasn't there before. And that's the ministry.
Yeah. And we're not saying that's easy. Like that's actually really hard for us to move into that type of space. And I've always found, Jay, that there's a real battle kind of when I'm on the precipice of moving in. But when I come to the place that I realize, okay, I'm not here to fix it, but God's called me to be in it, and I can step over that line. Now I'm there now. I'm in it. I fought that, that first battle, and now I'm just going to continue to be present with the kids in it. Now, you, Jay, you have a line that you use every once in a while that kind of helps free us up to enter into that space. What is it that you often say?
I don't even know. What do I say?
Well, I think you say something about, I don't know exactly what that's like to feel, like to remove the pressure to solve.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like,
sorry.
Literally, this is how emotionally inept I am sometimes. I literally have to like practice lines.
Yeah, good.
Because I have this habit of being a fixer. So someone says, here's what I'm going through. I'm like, let me solve your problems. And I have to have an internal narrative that says, Jay, shut up. Listen. And so a line that I find helpful, maybe the listeners will find helpful is, hey, I don't know exactly what you're going through right now, but I'm just really glad you let me in.
Yeah, great.
And what I feel like, because even the student sometimes doesn't know what they're going through. And so we can't just put in a box and just say it's simple, but there's lines like that. Or another one I like to say is like, man, that sounds really, really difficult. I just want you to know that I'm committed to being here with you.
Love it.
You're not fixing it. You're being present.
Okay, Jay, that leads us to our second one, actually. So we come out of being present, but we also talk about being patient.
This requires a ton of patience. I think working with high school students is like always 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. Like you think you're making progress, they're growing in God or making good decisions. And then all of a sudden it explodes. And then you find like yourself back at the beginning.
Part of what makes it hard to be patient is we've been there. So we're like, I actually know how to solve this issue.
Right.
Like, there's an end to this.
I know. Just do this.
And then it'll be good. But we have to remember that like their journey is not our journey. Like it just isn't. And when we try to like solve the problem, and we're camping there a little bit, sometimes we actually lose the opportunity to be with them in the journey.
Right.
So it's really important for us to be patient, to allow them to set the pace of the journey to some degree. We don't set the pace, that we allow them. I would say we allow God to take them through a process that's going to be shaping and forming for them. We don't want to short circuit that. And at the same time, it's actually shaping and forming us as well. So we're patient in the journey with our kids.
So be present, be patient. Lastly, be prayerful.
Yeah. So, Jay, I'm not sure how you're seeing things, but for me, I mean, pain is always, we've said this has always been a part of youth ministry. For me, as I look at some of the situations I'm in right now, I'm going, man, I never dealt with this stuff 20 years ago. And it's literally 20 years ago. And it feels like there's greater complexity sometimes. There's greater damage that seems to be taking place at younger ages. I feel overwhelmed more after 20 years of youth ministry experience in some ways than I did 20 years ago. And one of the things that I'm fighting to remember is that while I'm overwhelmed, God actually isn't overwhelmed in this space. And he has given me a way to access his power for the journey. And of course, it's prayer. And I just think more and more for me, before I enter into the student's journey, I'm entering into space with God, and I'm praying, and I'm accessing that power. I'm acknowledging that he's able to do immeasurably more than I can ask or imagine. And I'm sitting there before I go and sit with my students.
I love this because you paint this picture of this prayer that's in private before you walk into a situation, and even just on behalf of that student advocating. And there's also that prayer that's in person as well, isn't there?
Right.
Where it's like you enter into the situation and you say, I don't have advice for you, but can I pray for you? It's just simple, short prayers, nothing fancy, just saying, I care for you.
Yeah. And what we're doing is actually, we've talked about this before. We're the priest. So we're mediating space. We're not adding a quick preach. We're not like adding an anecdote through our prayers for the kid. We're actually bringing the presence of God into the space with that young person through prayer. And I think that's what a powerful call.
Bro, imagine if everyone listening, a bunch of youth workers being simple, like showing up, being patient, not forcing an outcome, and doing it really prayerfully. This is going to radically change the lives of students and how they're experiencing suffering in this fundamental age of their life.
Yeah. Jay, when we put this together, our hope was that we would be able to just give our volunteers just a couple of tools that can empower them and give them the courage to step into that space with intentionality. And again, we're not solving things, we're not fixing them, we're not professionals, but we are pastors.
I love that. Yeah. Thanks so much for sharing that stuff today, man.
Cool. Thanks, Jay. That was awesome.